Good morning. It's Tech Talk Today, episode 138, and it's March 3rd. It's a Tuesday, and it's 2015. That's right. All of that is sort of set out of order today because why? Today's going to be a funky episode. We're going to go a little off format just at the beginning and then at the end. But in the middle, it's going to be totally like what you're used to. So kind of think of it as like a crazy Tech Talk Today sandwich. And to help me sort through all of it and maybe pick some of those sprout outs, because I didn't want sprouts in my Tech Talk Today sandwich, is our Mumble crew. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
Good evening.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, you guys. Thanks for being here. I know some of you are not huge on the mobile stuff, but I wanted to start there just really quick because Mobile World Congress is going on this week, and I'll be following some of the stories from that. And I wanted to start with the one that grabbed my attention the most. It actually happened on Sunday, just a little bit after the Linux Action Show, I think. I'm trying to remember the timeline exactly. Samsung announced the brand new Galaxy S6, and it's actually a pretty compelling device. And they announced two different versions of it. The Samsung Galaxy S6, the one you probably love and know, kind of looks a little bit like the previous Galaxy models. And then there's also the S6 Edge edition. I'm going to just play a couple of minutes of the CNET video, and then we're going to talk about this. And I want to ask you guys if the Edge thing is kind of a gimmick or if you like it. So here, just so you get an idea of what it looks like, I'll play this for you. From CNET, and there we go.
This is Samsung's Galaxy S6 Edge. And if you're used to the Edge display on the Galaxy Note 4, you're going to find a lot of differences here. I'm Jessica Dahlcourt for CNET. I'm going to show you how it works.
So take a look at this OLED display. It wraps around the edge. It's all one screen, and it's curved on each edge.
First of all, the Edge is a lot subtler. It's not as pronounced, and that's because it's not meant to be its own display, unlike the Note Edge. Instead, you're mostly going to use it for notifications and for the night mode. There are some extra features. Instead of the Edge display being fully on, you swipe to get a list of your quick contacts, for example. These contacts are color-coded so that if your phone is upside down and one of them calls you, then the edge of the S6 Edge will glow subtly with the color associated with that person.
That's kind of neat.
For example, if your blue friend calls you, then you will see a blue light glowing. It's kind of cool that if somebody does call like this, you can press the sensor on the back of the phone to send a canned message that you'll call back later. Night mode is still available. This is a feature I like that shows the time even when it's dark. Samsung has also acknowledged lefties, so you can change the Edge display to the left even though it is on the right by default. Other than those features of the Edge display, the specs are pretty much identical to the regular Galaxy S6. I'm Jessica Dahlcourt for CNET. You can check out my full impressions of both phones at cnet.com.
And I'll have that linked in the show notes. So so that's the S6 Edge, plus you have the regular S6. And it's, in my opinion, it's not a bad phone. It's got a pretty great processor in it. It has a new eMMC storage, so it's faster storage, much faster storage, which is going to be really important in a story we're going to talk about in a little bit. 20 megapixel camera, also a high resolution front-facing camera, gorgeous display. The fingerprint sensor on the back is more of a Touch ID style. It doesn't require the swipe like it did before. Really crazy great processor, 64-bit architecture. Up to 120 gigabytes in storage, no removable back, so ergo no removable battery, and no SD card slot. But it looks like a really great phone, available early April. And you guys have any thoughts on the Galaxy line? Do you think that Edge stuff is a gimmick?
I can definitely see some cases for it, and when you have it on both sides, it, at least for me, is more compelling because, well, not only do I hold the phone sometimes weird and sometimes not, and now I can actually switch depending on my mood. So I like that. Other than that, it's something that makes this one unique, but
I like the glowing color thing. That's actually kind of useful. So you can just look at it from a glance and see, it's lighting up orange. That's so-and-so calling. That seems handy to me, but it seems like I'd constantly be touching it. And the other problem is, and they probably have factored in that you would accidentally be touching those edges all the time, so they probably have some sort of smart software that is trying to figure out accidental touches versus good touches, and that's always wonky too. I'm actually more interested in the standard S6 phone. I think that looks like one of the most well-designed Android devices in a long time. So I think it actually is a great phone. The only thing I have concerns with is pricing when it's unlocked. So I don't know what that's going to be when we see that. Okay, so there you go. There's a lot coming out of Mobile World Congress. Also today, Lenovo announced a phone. Not that I don't suspect that's going to be particularly compelling to our audience in general, but Lenovo is getting in the phone game, and they bought up Motorola, so they've got some people that know what they're doing. So yeah, it's called the A7000. It's $169 US. It's 5.5 inches, 4G LTE, and it's got Dolby sound in it. So long beats. Hello, Dolby. It also has a 16 megapixel camera with image stabilization and tricolor flash. And they'll have that'll be the Vibe with a $350 price tag. Qualcomm has also announced brand new processors that are going to be 64-bit. They're also going to have something called the Cairo. It's going to be called the Cairo CPU with, I don't really know the details on it, but it's going to be their 820 series of Qualcomm processors that will be featured in a lot of high-end smartphones. So there you go. There is some of the phone stuff. Now, right before we get totally out of the mobile stuff, we do have some other big stuff to get into. Like I said, it's a little wobbly here at the top. But Pebble, we've been talking a lot about them. They have this Kickstarter they launched last week while we were off the air. So they've revealed the time steal and also this really interesting smart strap system. Are you guys hip to this smart strap system that Pebble's got? Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So what the idea is third-party manufacturers can integrate any sensors they want into the band, and then Pebble not only has a new easy quick-release latch system for the band, but Pebble also has a data port in there. And so the band has a data port available to it, and it allows for any sensor that the third party can implement, and then they write an app to use it on the Pebble. So one could be a heart rate band, one could be a band that does multiple things. And the other nice thing about that is it allows for specific innovation in the sensors, which are going to be developing really rapidly. Especially, the sensors are going to be, I think, this is just totally my guesstimation, as other big players in the market like Apple and Fitbit and Motorola and anybody who's making an Android Wear device, and of course Samsung and Microsoft with the band, as these big, huge companies move into these wearable markets, they're going to be pushing this sensor technology forward very rapidly. And the innovations at that level are going to be sort of industry-wide. And Pebble will be in a great position to take advantage of that fast-evolving industry because unlike Apple, right? If Apple wants to add more sensors to the Apple Watch, they're going to have to ship an entirely new watch unit because those sensors are integrated in the bottom of the watch. Pebble you just go buy a new band from somebody. That's a pretty nice system. And this new Pebble color is looking really sweet with a 7-day battery life, Android Wear compatible. I'm going to be honest with you, the screen resolution and all the graphics I've seen look really hokey. They look early days, but it's in a compelling package with a lot of compelling features and some serious legroom. And you know what else is respectable about Pebble is even the original Pebble is still getting like some of these features. Like there's still really there's value if you got in that early Pebble Kickstarter. And I know a couple of friends who've had some issues with their Pebble watches, and Pebble has gone above and beyond on replacing them and really making sure that they take care of their customers. So all of this stuff together to me really gives me a lot of hope for Pebble because I love the fact that you got the Android Wear and the Apple Watches that are definitely more at the high end. Battery life is not a priority. Flash is a priority. Pushing you information, that's all a priority, right? And then you have Pebble that's trying to sort of find a little bit more of a middle ground where they're saying, no, hold on now. Battery life for a watch is extremely important. And by the way, if you want to use this to track your sleep, aren't you going to need to be able to wear this at night? So don't you need something to last a few days? Like Pebble's taking a bet there, and I think it's really good that we have not only somebody that's playing at that end of the spectrum for these wearables, because that's extremely important to explore that spectrum where battery life is extremely important and this kind of functionality and practicality is extremely important and flash is less important. Not only does that desperately need to be explored in this new category, but it's being done by a company like Pebble who really has their crap together. They really have it together. They've been good on the customer service front. They're making very interesting innovations, but yet not breaking those core values, and it's all running on top of Linux, and they seem like a great group at the end of the day. Like, I'm pretty excited about this. I'm not sure I'm going to buy one yet. I mean, I still got to look what the other watches are doing in 2015, but I'm really excited about this. I'm not in the Kickstarter. Anybody in the Mumble Room back the Kickstarter?
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
Not yet, but I like the red one.
Yeah, I like them putting the sensors in the watch, a band. How cool is that? Isn't that a great... They're calling it the Open Hardware Platform, which lets hardware makers use a port on the back of the watch combined with the quick release band tech Pebble employs to add features to the watch via sensors, electronics, and even batteries built into swappable straps.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, you get better sensors because they have more space, And as you mentioned, you get better batteries because the watch isn't filled up with crappy sensors. It's going to actually be batteries.
Yeah, so they talk about, here's an example. You could do batteries, or you could add a heart rate monitor, or you could do a GPS chip. So if you had a GPS chip, one side of the band could be the GPS, the other side could be additional battery to make up for the draw of the GPS. Oh, man. They say, or if you wanted just a band that was just batteries, you could have a Pebble that ran for multiple weeks on a single charge. That, you know what? If all the other watchmakers don't steal that idea, they're negligent. That's just brilliance. It's making the watch into a genuine platform, and that is so cool. All right, now I want one. Now I just sold my cell phone one. Damn it.
Yeah, me too.
They're really awesome. I had the first gen steel for about a year now, and I love it.
I hate it when I want stuff. Let's splash a little cold water on our faces with some hypocrite. Obama says, it's really ridiculous that China wants backdoors and wants to audit U.S. technology. Meanwhile, he's urging Silicon Valley to add backdoors for the U.S. government to all technology. Game developers favor Steam and PCs over other game platforms. Yeah, that's right. I said that. About 75% of game developers say that Steam and PC game platforms are very important for the future of the game industry, according to a survey by the International Game Developers Association. The survey of 2,200 developers showed that many view the PC as a top platform for the next 5 years. And 25% of developers said that the proprietary platforms such as virtual reality are also very important. That was according to the executive director of the International Game Developers Association in an interview with GameSpeed. So how about that? 75% say the PC is critical to the future of gaming. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. Does that make you guys feel a bit better?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's easier to target a larger audience when you can target one PC platform instead of maybe 2 or 3 consoles.
How does that
operate differently?
How do you think that? What do you think that means for SteamOS?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It might be that since you publish for Steam and you have this, port to Unity button, it could actually be a good thing for Linux gaming in general.
See, I would argue this is actually a bigger deal than it might seem at first pass, because I think if this survey were conducted 3 years ago, the answer to that survey might have been iOS or mobile. Because everybody, remember how drunk everybody was with mobile being the future gaming platform? And I think what people have realized that is if you want to invest in a real serious production and charge serious money, something, big budget, you got to be able to pay, maybe you need to be able to make $50-$60 a copy, and that means you're going to have to sell on the PC, because that remains pretty much the only platform where people are willing, that and consoles. So yeah, I think it's good news. I'm really glad that they recognize it. All right, I had a story in here about a closer look at Cortana and Windows 10. However, I'm kind of waiting to punt. I think I'm going to punt on this. You know what? Because I want to try it before I really dig into it too much. But there is a video of it. I'll play a little video of this. Maybe we can get a taste on this. Where I'm at with Cortana is. To me, it feels like Clippy for 2015. But here's this video that I'm about to play is it's the new Microsoft Spartan browser, and it's the Cortana integration with Spartan. So let's take a look, and then we'll talk about this. We'll take a quick peek. This is from WinBeta.
Hey there guys, Zach here from WinBeta, and welcome back to another video. Now today we're taking a closer look at Cortana integration in Spartan running on Windows 10. Now, Spartan is one of the first Windows 10 apps from Microsoft to include Cortana integration. For those who don't know, Spartan is a code name for Microsoft's new web browser coming in Windows 10. So integration with Cortana means she can help you out whilst browsing the web. A good example of this is when visiting businesses like restaurants. In the address bar, she'll jump up and down letting me know that she's got details about this business. Clicking on her will give me a sidebar dedicated to Cortana where she can list details about this business such as location, opening hours, reservations, reviews and more. Clicking on any one of these links will take you to a new tab where you can explore these details further if that's what you want to do. Now, Cortana can also be helpful in other ways too. Say for example you're reading something on the internet and it references a place you've never heard of before. In my case it's South Lake Union. Simply highlight the text, right click and select Ask Cortana. She'll open up her sidebar again and give you details about the South Lake Union. So as you can see, I've got details about its location, a brief description.
So I mean, this is handy, but every browser has right click search, and to me this almost feels a bit like how can we get people to stop using Google? How can we get them to use Bing services?
Other searches and photos. This also works for things like finding out the definition of a word. Just highlight the word in question, right click and select Ask Cortana. She'll open up the word in her little sidebar and give you the definition. Great for writing reports for school or work. This works for pretty much anything. If I want to know about pasta, I can learn about pasta without having to leave this web page. As you can see, she pulls in details about its fat, calories and more. It's truly amazing the power of Cortana and its integration with Spartan. Furthermore, she also lives in the address bar, so say if I want to know something like the weather, just typing in weather into the address bar will give me a result, thanks to Cortana. She doesn't take me to a separate dedicated page, she just tells me right within the UI.
And of course it says Bing search in the right.
Which is absolutely fantastic. So there you have it guys, that's a quick look at Cortana running in Spartan on Windows 10. Now this is very early days, this is pre-release software and this isn't currently available to the public, so I expect more features to be available in future builds when she rolls out to the public. But until then everybody, thanks so much for watching and I shall see you in the next one.
So what strikes me about this is it seems like a pretty good idea on the surface. And this is sort of an area where Silicon Valley and tech pundits and engineers and software companies all kind of build this huge echo chamber where they believe they're finally building the computer that's usable by the average user. Look how we'll contextually pull all this information and you search for pasta. I've got pictures of pasta. I've got a definition of pasta. I've got the health facts about pasta. I'm going to put them all in the sidebar for you because that's exactly what you've always wanted your computer to ever do. The thing is I have never ever really seen anyone ever take advantage of stuff like this. Ever. And no matter how damn cool it is, when Clippy came out, that was damn cool. No, I mean, really, I thought that was the neatest thing, was making the computer personal. Finally, it's not going to be this cold machine. You're going to have an avatar to interact with. This is going to be so easy for the average person because they'll have a face to associate, and we're going to contextually watch what you're doing and suggest how you could do it better as you do it. We won't be in the way. It'll just be this little pop-up. It's going to be great. And then Clippy shipped, and guess what? Everybody hated it. Nobody wanted to use it. It wasn't cool. I'm not trying to dog on it so much. It's just what really, this is just a soapbox moment. What really bugs me is we all get caught up in the fancy and the shiny, and we don't ever really take a step back and go, well, is it actually useful? I mean, like, I know, like, it's Star Trek, cool, and that, you know, gets me excited. Don't get me wrong, but is it actually useful? I'm not so sure. Anybody in the Mumble Room have a take?
I mean, I don't know how it is but I would just see this as completely useless outside the US. I mean, the Google thing doesn't even work properly, and that's been around for years. And this not gonna work in places like Norway. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I didn't even think, of course. Yeah, it's gonna probably be able to pull in even less information.
Yeah, I'm not such a big fan when it comes to a digital assistant, but I do like the browser or technology. I want to try and benchmark and test things on it.
Spartan, yeah.
Yeah, because I am running the Windows 10 preview at the moment, and I disable all the OneDrive stuff and Windows Live stuff. I just run a window or a local build and a local account. I try to be as to myself as possible.
So what is it that 10's offering to you that makes you want to run it right now? Do you want to just try it out, or is there anything particular it's doing that you're like, well, this is now I have to have this?
Nope. Also that I tend to be... I love running everything.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, I'm an arts guy. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, cutting edge is always fun. Like if I was going to dual boot Windows today, if I was going to install Windows, I would probably seriously consider just going straight to 10 because for what I need Windows for, it's not a big risk. Then the only thing that would back me off from that is if games didn't run that well on it yet. So
yeah, the frames per second is pretty high. The audio driver, the audio outputs are kind of funky when it comes to switching. But other than that, I do like testing out their their new window management.
But you're not
and
using.
I like to see.
You're not using Cortana.
No, hell no.
Interesting.
But if anything, I just like testing out the things that I'm going to be helping out people understand soon enough.
Totally, you've got to. If you end up in the position, I mean, when I was doing contracting work like this, I had to run that stuff. I even had at home. I had Active Directory servers for time and Exchange servers just to try it out for little bits. All right, so you mentioned Google. Let's talk about Google. Speaking of Google, you guys remember the big press attention that Apple got when they announced that iOS 8 would ship with encryption enabled by default. Boy, it seems like a long time ago. And then a week later, Google's like, yeah, we're going to do it too. Yeah, hey, we're going to encrypt our stuff, guys, in Lollipop. And then everybody's like, oh, yeah, Google too. And but they didn't get as much attention about it. And the FBI got awful upset. We played some clips of James Comey. Turns out that whole encryption thing didn't really work out. Yeah, so if you take a notice of your Lollipop device, you might notice that encryption actually isn't turned on. In fact, it's not really being turned on by anybody. The way it works is Google was going to implement this via policy. If you're going to distribute a Lollipop device, you have to adhere to these requirements. Google kind of tweaked the language and kind of walked it back after they shipped the Nexus 6, and benchmarks showed that the Nexus 6 with encryption enabled was actually performing slower than the Nexus 5. And when that bombshell dropped, they decided to walk back the encryption. Now, interestingly enough, and I would love to know the differences, there has been no such dramatic performance decrease on iOS 8, where they are doing encryption by default. So I wonder what the differences there are. It could be the storage technology. So one of the things I did a little reading in is that one of the reasons like Samsung is switching to eMMC storage, like I mentioned at the top of the show, is it's dramatically faster than the standard storage they're using today. And once they go to that faster storage, things like encryption become a little bit less of a burden on the system. I don't know if Apple has. Apple may also accelerate the encrypting and decrypting via their A-series processors, but it's an interesting thing that we kind of lost track of, and it's one of those things you got to remember to stay vigilant, because Google came out and made a big splash and never really made a big splash about the fact that they walked back from that. And I think it's something we have to stay vigilant of, and it's something you might want to check on if you're concerned about it, but be advised, it's probably going to drain more battery, and it's going to make your phone run slower.
Well, considering it's a X4 file system,
yes.
In order to do a full system or full file system encryption, they'll have to be using DMCrypt unless they're using a custom version or a custom solution on their end for the Android phones.
Well, so I think that is actually
or Lux, LUKS.
If you go into the Ars Technica article where they talk about it, they say that there might be faster. So using faster flash memory and using faster file systems like F2FS. That are better at encrypting and decrypting data quickly. But OEMs are really the slow point when it comes to Android, because at the end of the day, it's up to the OEM and their implementation of it. And one more Google
Even
story.
I use an F2FS file system for one of my installs.
Oh, really?
Oh, for root. It's so quick.
Interesting. I might play with that then. Okay, one more kind of Google-related story, and then we'll wrap up for the day. This is kind of a bummer. You know, these things happen, and I don't think the internet needs to get all up into a war about it, but it's a bit disappointing. Mozilla has not been accepted for Google Summer of Code 2015. I think this is like a first. So I guess it went kind of down like this. After a quick email exchange with Google, Google has provided this information. They're not accepting Mozilla, but it was a difficult decision for them, they say. It's not the result of a mistake either. Or an accident. There was an assumption that not participating for 1 year would not be as damaging for Mozilla as it would be for some other organizations due to pretty much having participated always. This event doesn't affect negatively for Mozilla being able to maybe be in Summer of Code 2016, and they are encouraged to apply again. But it's pretty disappointing because they kind of base some milestones around that. And it was also kind of nice to see Google kind of as a tip of the hat to the open source community and open web standards to continue to support their competitor, Firefox, especially as Chrome continues to gobble up market share. It was like, wow, look at that good guy Google, though. You know, they're still helping them develop code and things like that. So it's a little disappointing. I don't know if... I don't know. Like, see, this is where that's what I was gonna ask you. Do you guys agree with Avalanche there in the chat room that this is backlash for the Yahoo deal?
Yeah, it seems a bit too like a coincidence not to be related.
Man, I don't know. That's dirty play if it is. It does seem a little weird. And the other thing is you got to think about it from the people standpoint. There's a lot of people in Google that are probably Mozilla and Firefox fans. So I wonder how they feel about it. That could be a bad thing. All right, well, you know what's a good thing? Supporting the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. Patreon.com/today. 455 of you are doing that. There's some perks, too. So not only do you get, like, sort of the satisfaction of giving us a little value back for maybe some value that we provided you in terms of entertainment or infotainment or whatever you want to call it, companiontainment, but also it gets you access to some behind-the-scenes stuff, some extra goodies, like when we had our massive 4.5-hour scale live event. I released it to the patrons first, to the Tech Talk Today patrons, because it cost me a lot of money to distribute a 4.5 gigabyte file. And then while I worked out how to do it without costing me a lot of money, I gave it up to the patrons right then for free. I mean, you just go get it right now. You guys, you get priority access. Here's a Scale Engine CDN download link. Go get it, fast download speeds. And then it took a day or two, and I figured out how to, I put it up on archive.org and YouTube, and we got it out there, even though it took forever to get it uploaded. But the way the system works is you guys are who my bosses are. I report to these patrons. 455 of you are extremely critical to keeping this network going. You give me leverage to negotiate with sponsors. You allow us to do things like we've been filming weeks, or we have, actually 3 weeks, of How To Linux. Now, how are we paying for that? Does How To Linux have a sponsor? No, we've decided to go sponsor free because we want to focus on the content and really make it for you guys and just keep it super hyper, like boom, this get in, get the information, get out. And how do you do that right? How do you do that and not lose your ass? You have to have some sort of system in place because this is a business, and if we lose our ass on a show like that, then we have to shut down and all the other shows go away. Well, this Patreon right here gives us the runway to do experimentations like this, and maybe How To Links doesn't work out. And then we don't have to cancel some contract with a sponsor. We don't have to end it prematurely or run it just because it's sponsored. It just makes it so much more pure and for you. And you can have a say in that by going over there. But on top of all of that, you get access to the behind-the-scenes clips that we post from time to time. And there's different tiers. Towards the bottom of that tier level is the top one, the swag. The Swag Club from time to time gets goodies. Right now, we're giving out some goodies to the Unfiltered patrons. They're going to get some swag for the next week. And I think just recently, what was it? We gave out the Jupiter Broadcasting mouse pads, which are actually really nice. And we have other things. Angela is a swag queen. Not a drag queen, a swag queen. And she's got so many great things. And every now and then we bring gadgets in and I test them. And I give her the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Yes, this passes approval. We can send this out to the Swag Club. It's kind of a fun process. And you can get it on patreon.com/today. Any level, any amount helps. If it's $1 a month, all the way up to the Swag Clubs, we really appreciate it. And thanks to all 455 of you who is doing it. No, not Swag Hag. All right, well, she said it herself. I didn't say it. It's Swag Queen. Swag Hag? No, I don't like that. That sounds mean.
Swag out of 10.
What is it?
Swag out of 10.
I think what I want to do is I want to do off-the-wall videos for the end of show clips this week. Don't forget about that subreddit, because you can submit an off-the-wall video or a story or feedback. Go to techtalktoday.reddit.com and make this show better. So the one I've got to start with, it's actually just been pulled off of YouTube. So you can't even, at least not in the U.S., you can't even watch it on YouTube. I don't know about outside the U.S. And so I thought we'd start with this one. It is when it's off the wall, totally inappropriate, crazy sexist, and like anti-children's health. That's where we got to start. Everybody's probably seen this commercial once in their life, but it's good to remind us why sometimes commercialism can get a little out of hand, and maybe why that Patreon model is not so bad. All right, thanks for joining me. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Tech Talk Today is live at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, jblive.tv. We're just doing 3 days this week. We're off Friday, so we can have some room in the studio for a big recording session that isn't Tech Talk Today. So it's a we are doing 4 shows. Never mind, we decided to do a Friday show. I'm dumb. In fact, I think Angela's going to join me on Friday. So never mind. I take everything I just said in the last 30 seconds back. Or maybe it was the last 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds. Yeah, see, I just got a message from Angela. He says, no, you're an idiot and you're fired. Oh, man. I guess this is my... No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. Now, we will be here on Friday. So it's a full show. So that means... and I actually have enough clips, too. Well, good. I have enough video clips already. But you can still submit that if you got a really good one. I'll grab it from the subreddit. All right, so I've made you wait long enough. I'm not going to say any more. Just enjoy this commercial.
sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay. How's about taking a nap?
Hey, I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it! Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking.
Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should.
The Flintstones has been brought to you by Winston, America's best-selling, best-tasting filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.